Hey everybody, how's it going? The tarot deck that I'm using is called the Golden Art Nouveau. Alright, we're starting off with High Priestess. We also have the Devil and we have Four of Pentacles. Alright. I feel like there's some need to not force something. With the Empress, this is about what naturally flows from us. So it can be like creatively, it can be your love, it can be your self-expression. It's something that you sort of like bring to the world. It can also be about what you attract as well. Having the Devil next to it can be like wanting to like overproduce this type of energy. So rather than allowing things to flow naturally, there can be something going on that is impeding upon the natural flow or the natural process here. And also too, like having Four of Pentacles feels like it's just reinforcing this. So it can be, instead of allowing myself to feel inspired and to move with that, I'm trying to force something here, and I feel like this would be taking you out of flow. You can have like a good reason for doing this. At the same time, it can be something that it goes from a natural process of yours to becoming actually unnatural for you. And what that means too is that what would naturally fall into place given what would be going on if you were just like allowing things to unfold organically, you introduce something else to the environment when you have the Devil and the Four of Pentacles. And I do feel like this is wanting to like micromanage your inspiration or trying to like manipulate the energy, but in a way that feels actually like it's creating a blockage rather than allowing flow to be happening. So it can be kind of like you're inspired to do something that day, and instead you can be like, I need to be more productive, or I need to like reach this, but it's something where this doesn't feel like I'm being disciplined and pushing myself. It feels like it's not allowing things to be organic. It feels like it's pushing things too much to a point where it takes away the purity of the process. Yeah. And it goes from something that feels like it's naturally occurring, like there's a natural spring there with the Empress there, so it's already something that's like organically there, but I feel like the Devil is trying to like push it in some type of inorganic way, and that it's doing something to the process where, again, I feel like it's creating a blockage, where if you were just to allow the Empress to be here doing their thing, this would be something that's like naturally flowing from you, where you don't have to be like, well, how much did I get today? You know, something like that. It feels like more so when you're in flow with things, what needs to come about is going to come about. But when we have the Devil and the Four of Pentacles, it can be like, for this reason and that reason, like I just can't work like that. And so I feel like it takes you actually out of flow. And I feel too like this is going to be something that ends up being counterproductive for you, because I'm seeing something that you have going on here, and I feel like your hands are full with this. You just don't want to be forcing something. Devil and Four of Pentacles feels like forcing something to me. But the reason why this can be tricky is because Empress is there, so something is already naturally occurring, something is already organically occurring. Like, let's say, for example, this can be a relationship. Like, it can be somebody that you already have chemistry with, but you can be like, well, it should go like this and it should go like that. And then you're feeling awkward with the person, or it's like you're feeling out of touch, or you think like this should have happened or this shouldn't happen because you've only known them for like X amount of time, or you've been on like 3 dates with them, whatever is going on here. And it feels like getting like stuck and becoming rigid rather than just like allowing things to flow. Again, coming back to this, I feel like you already have some type of chemistry there, like you already have some type of organic process. This can also be with something like creativity. So maybe you're just like naturally creative. It's something that you're using to do some type of artistic expression. You're writing something, maybe making poetry or creating art of some sort, or it can be like a natural talent, skill, ability that you have with Venus here. When we have the Devil, it can be like harping on this in a way where it, instead of it being like fun and you being in natural flow with that process, where you're going to get the best product from that. because it comes from this organic place within you. It forces things out where it feels like trying too hard is the feeling that I'm getting from this. And again, like this can be something within a relationship going on. Maybe you already have good chemistry with somebody and you're going to be exploring the dynamic and see what happens. The devil can be like saying, well, why didn't this happen already with them? Like maybe something's wrong within the relationship, you know, but it's this type of thing. And when we have the devil there, it's not based on something like true and accurate for the process. And let's go back to this example about the Empress having, being related to art or something. Like maybe some days you're very productive and you feel like things are naturally flowing and like a lot comes through, you like create a lot and it feels really good. And then the next day you need some type of rest. The devil can be like, no rest. We need to do it even though that like spark isn't really there and you actually need to be resting. So devil will take you out of the natural flow of that energy, like pushing something too hard. And then it makes this process, it's like it turns it inside out, is the feeling that I'm getting from this. And it feels like you don't need to be doing that. I don't get the sense of that. I feel if anything, this is something that you may not want to continue introducing this into this cycle for yourself. So maybe it's something that you're going to look at and be like, is this really the best thing for this process? Or am I doing something here that's maybe going to like ruin it a little bit? Okay, you're in the process of figuring this out. I feel like this is being brought to your attention to make sure that you're not overdoing it here. And that you may need to be like possibly less controlling with the process. Like maybe just need to let it flow and see what happens. I feel even too like you can be being too regimented or too militant with something, but it's based off of something arbitrary. Meaning this is not a good system. And it can be coming from a place of like some type of fear and control within you. So check in with that. Check in with your intention. Like, are you wanting to like push something out or make something happen or like micromanage from a place of love and from a place of allowing, or are you doing it from another place? Like check in about that, and it's going to give you some insight about what's going on here. Because you can be like, the process needs to be like this, the process needs to be like that. We have Temperance here. Temperance is a card that is very good at assuaging this energy that is connected with the devil. The devil can also be like something about this process brings up is like triggering for me, or brings up some type of like fear narrative for me. And I'm seeing how I'm like clenching here, or how I'm, what is it? It's like when you are just like become very rigid. Energetically, this can even be something physically, tension. It feels like holding tension. So you can be seeing, like when I'm thinking like that, and when I'm sort of tuned to that station there, I'm seeing how uptight I'm starting to get with this, and I'm not feeling like in touch naturally, organically, how I would be through this process. Having Temperance feels like I'm becoming aware of this. I'm recognizing this happening. I'm seeing where I'm pushing myself just to push myself and to have something happen here that may not be the right time for this to be going on. And it may actually be taking me out of the natural flow of this, and it may be something that's, I feel like it's like threatening to the process in some way. It's like, it reminds me of the concept of something being naturally occurring, like a naturally occurring spring, and then like somebody attempting to like, I don't know, like colonize it in some type of way, to like mass produce something, and then to, rather than just like accepting what's naturally flowing from that, to try to get more and more and more and more, and it feels like it really changes the dynamic of the process. So with Temperance, I do feel like this is something that you're learning to work with. Maybe you also have a tendency to overdo it sometimes. Maybe like a little bit of a good thing gets going here and then you just take it too far because you don't check in with the natural flows and rhythms. Because I see the devil, especially like we have Capricorn here. Capricorn is connected with the devil. I see Capricorn as a sign, which all of us can relate to because we all have Saturn within our chart. We all have a house that Capricorn rules if you don't have any specific placements in Capricorn. The energy of Capricorn in its shadow is I'm not tuned in anymore. I'm just pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself. And I don't even know that that's the best thing for me to be doing here in this situation, because I'm trying to make this as productive as possible, and that's what it becomes about. But is that really gonna meld well with this type of process? Like, is this something that where that type of mentality should be involved? So this can be something that you're looking at, because I do really get this tendency to overdo it sometimes. And just because you can doesn't mean that you should, and that can be something that you're checking into. And that's also the thing with Shadow Capricorn energy. You can push. You can overdo it. You can even maybe make it last for a long time. And then is that going to be like disintegrating other things that are part of this process? Is that how you want to move through this? So like with this power comes a responsibility, with an ability to have your hand on the lever here of what's happening. Is this something where you're going to respect the flow? Like sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, sometimes we're talking, sometimes we're not, sometimes we're seeing each other every week or every day, sometimes we're not for a little bit. You know, like whatever this is, that's part of the process. Are you going to allow for the natural rhythms of it? Or is it something that you're going to see just like how much you can squeeze out of it? And that ends up blocking. It ends up blocking it. It ends up messing with the flow of things. So yeah, I'm seeing you getting to this point. For some of you too, this is something that you've been realized, and you can be getting to a point now where you're actually moving on from this, where you're like, wow, I was doing that and I have recognized that, and I'm like seeing things in a new way. I'm seeing things in a different way, and I'm actually moving away from doing things like that. So some of you, I'm seeing you be with Temperance and with Six of Swords, you can be actually at the end of this process where this is something that you have realized, and it's something that you saw as being not helpful in this situation, and you are moving on from doing things in that way and moving to doing things in a better way where you feel like this about it, actually. Like something feels sustainable, you feel a sense of connection, it's something that can be like more long-term rather than just like how much can I get from it right now. So there's that allowing that's being integrated into this. And yeah, I'm seeing the direction that you're moving in, it's one where you're gonna feel, I feel like this sense of being at peace with things, and I also get this feeling of just like all around feeling happy and feeling satisfied with things in a way that maybe you hadn't been feeling before. I feel too like part of the shadow of, like, we have Venus and we have Capricorn here. So this can be something about like need to make the most out of my investments and get the most out of it, even if I'm pushing it beyond its nature. And needing to come back to this place of seeing, why am I doing that? What's motivating that? Again, like, is this coming from a place of love and intrigue and interest and fascination and inspiration within me? Or is it coming from something else? And do I want to be motivated by that? Is that something that I want to bring into the process? So I just feel a lot of self-awareness that's coming on here. I want to say this again, like something very clearly that I'm seeing here. It feels like the difference between having like feeling naturally creative versus like forcing yourself just so you can get a product out of it, where there can be some type of focus like specifically on the outcome of something rather than on the process. And that's what I feel like the devil is doing. So whatever it is that whatever this situation is for you, feel like there's this overemphasis and even a fixation on whatever is being produced, like on the product specifically, that you have a naturally occurring process here which does produce something. Becoming overly fixated on the product rather than on the process, it messes with the process. It does something to it that I feel like it takes the purity out of the process, and then you get a weird product from it. Whatever this is, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a project that you're working on, this want to push it and be like, it needs to be productive to the point where it feels like it actually like weakens the fertility of this process. I'm hearing scout. You can realize that this was something that's happening. Seeing Temperance and seeing Six of Swords, I do feel like this is something that you became aware of, and I do feel like it's something that you realized, and that you are, like, you're moving to a different place now. Like, you're moving forward from this. Like, this doesn't really feel like a place that you're still in, or if you are, it's like the last bits of it. But yeah, this can be something that's very, very difficult for you to let go of as well. We have Four of Pentacles in the middle there, so it can be, like I was just trying to do it for, it can be something like, I feel like we can have very pure, seemingly, motivations where it's like, I was doing it for a better life, or I was doing it because I thought that things could be better because of this, like not realizing the deeper, like, impulse that's pushing this. So it's not like you have some type of like evil intention here. It's just the Four of Pentacles. It's like, I was doing this because I wanted something to feel like, maybe, I'm hearing mainstream, but I'm also hearing streamlined. I feel like there can be a, like, I just wanted to feel secure. I just wanted to feel stable, or I just was doing this so I could feel safe. And this was like my way of trying to do that, of trying to accomplish it. And it feels like it was lacking like the most important essence of this, which is the Empress. And having Temperance there, I do feel like this is that, like, I'm seeing what's been going on here. I'm recognizing that I'm still unlearning this. I get the sense too that once this is realized and you're locked into that, I'm seeing things really move forward, and I'm seeing them move through this, and it feels like this is something that's been understood, and it's not something that's going to continue to be part of this process. Okay, so some of you, a relationship was involved in this. Yeah, this feels like not wanting to give up control, and that's where this had been coming from. This is like, any ounce of power that I have, like, I will keep the upper hand, like anything to keep the upper hand. But having the devil there, and this can be like, I make every effort so I can get a tighter grip and a tighter grip and a tighter grip constantly, to the point where you can be choking something out here, which feels like cutting off the natural supply of the thing that flows through this. It's like the life force that flows through this. Like, very, very rigid mentality here. When we have the devil and the Four of Wands too, this can be like our way of like attempting to create harmony, like synthetically, within our relationships, within our home life. I see Four of Wands always reminds me of the fourth house, So it can be like within family structures, it can be within your relationships, it can be within your marriage, within your serious partnerships, it can be within your business partnerships, it can be within your home life. It's going to be some type of area like that. When we have the devil there, it means that we're like trying to synthetically create this in a way that it does not feel natural, it does not feel organic, and everybody knows that this feels forced. Also, too, with the devil being in this position, it's like not understanding the concept yet that you can manipulate things to get the pieces to go where you want them to, but you're not going to feel like it naturally fell into place, and you'll still know, even if it's more unconscious, that those pieces don't go together naturally like that. So there will be that feeling there of this was not the only way that this stays together in this way is if I'm holding it together. If I were to step back, if I were to loosen my grip, there's a possibility that this whole thing would crumble. And so that pressure continues of like, can't let go, can't let go, can't let go, because something is like inauthentically being held together. I don't know like why this example is coming through, but it reminds me of the concept of, let me think about this. I want to think about the way that this is going to come out, because there's something interpersonal coming through here. It's like, now I'm not saying that this is everybody's situation. Like, it may be nobody's situation. This is just like meant to be an example. Maybe it's somebody's situation. It's like the difference between you hanging out with somebody and them being like, I want to hang out with you, and you want to hang out with them, and then you're just like doing your things together, hanging out with one another, and it feels like organic, and it feels natural, and it feels fun, and it feels like there's just that flow there, versus feeling like you need to like convince somebody to spend time with you, or like, I'll buy you this if you spend time with me. It feels like that type of thing where it's like they're not choosing to be with you, or like you're not choosing to be with them. It can be some type of like material hold over things with the devil above the Four of Wands, where it's like, well, just staying for some type of material aspect, or this like glue that's holding things together. It does not feel authentic. So it can be that difference between, it's like both people can feel like they're getting what they want in this scenario, whether it's like something organically that comes together and you're hanging out with the person, versus somebody feeling like they need to persuade somebody and get that to come together. In both scenarios, you have people connecting with one another. But in one scenario, there's this knowing that freely there's that compatibility and flow there that goes together, versus something that feels like it's just bought. And that paranoia that comes with like, are you only here because I'm like paying for that? That will be the feeling. Or because I'm providing this. Or am I only there because they're providing that, you know? And so it something starts happening here. And just an example too. There are lots of other ways that this can work. But it's that difference in the feeling of, okay, well, in both scenarios, you have people that are like spending time with one another, but the feel is very different. And when the devil is involved, it's that feeling that doesn't feel like things are naturally coming together like that. And we don't really know, like, are they coming together because everybody wants to be there and it comes from a place of that like organic chemistry and compatibility? Or is this for other reasons? And then comes in the power play, and then comes in that potential of the paranoia, like, do you love me for me, or do you love me for what I have? And that doesn't feel good for anybody involved, like, unless that's the agreement, but that's a whole different story. Because I'm talking about something where those types of things are not being discussed. It feels like trying to figure out, like, why is this together here and what is holding it together, and having the devil be the thing that's holding something together. It doesn't feel good when we really check in about it. Like, is that what you want to be the glue here? Do you want the devil to be the glue here? Because the devil is something that is not pure. It is not true. It is based on something that, if we were all telling the truth here, this wouldn't be something that stands in some way, shape, or form. The thing is, on the outside, it can look like, oh, well, it goes together. Like, for example, the marriage, it goes together. Like, look at those two people together with one another. But then having the devil there, it's like, that's not like love and compatibility that brings that together. And this isn't a judgment on things. Like, it's not at all a judgment. It's about recognizing the difference in how we feel when different things are motivating us to do things. And when we have the devil above the Four of Wands, this is going to be like, I want the Four of Wands. I want that harmony. I want that dynamic. I want that stability. I want that relationship. But maybe going about it in a way where that's not really what's naturally occurring there. There's something else that's going on there. So it's not going to feel like it satisfies in a deeper way. It won't feel like a satisfying Four of Wands. It can still feel like a Four of Wands. Like, it can still feel like a relationship, let's say. But there's going to be something that feels like it's missing, because we have the devil there. So the devil is like, you can get what you want and it can come together and you can have that, or what you think you want anyway. But then we realize that, like, it may be like looking how we want on the surface, but it doesn't feel right. There's gonna be something there that feels like not that full satisfaction, not that full fulfillment. There will be this feeling that unless we move these pieces very strategically, the whole thing could crumble. The whole thing could fall apart. It's like the difference between building a building with pieces that go together like puzzle pieces versus like gluing and taping and putting it all around and making it, it's like there's a difference between that. So both of them are buildings, but it's a very different structure that's there, and it feels different. So it can feel overall like, even though something looks like the Four of Wands, it may not be feeling like that. So even though something looks a certain way on the outside, it may not feel like that on the inside. Like, it can maybe externally to other people, it's like it looks like a functional relationship, maybe. And I'm just saying a relationship as an example of how this can work. But on the inside, like, you may not feel at peace. Like, you may not feel like this is compatible with you. You may not feel harmonious within things. And you can be at a point with the Four of Wands, like, we want something to feel, we want that structure, we want that stability, we want that grace, we want that feeling of harmony. And something does not feel harmonious. Having Temperance there, I feel like this is a process that you're looking at and you're like, it kind of looks like what I want, but it doesn't really feel like what I'm looking for on a deeper level. How's that? And so this is a process that we're moving through to make sense of it. So we have the devil here. We have Temperance here too. We also have Venus. So we have Venus, we have Capricorn, we have Sagittarius, and I'm also looking at Aquarius on the bottom of the deck. So having that Four of Pentacles there, this can possibly still be something where there's like still a bit of, I don't know, like rigidity here. There can still be a bit of frustration. There can still be a bit of like unwillingness. This can be something where the glue has not really dissolved yet, but you can also feel like you're making progress with this, with the understanding of things. Because like the deal with the Devil is that we don't realize that it's not going to feel fulfilling. Like we do it without realizing like, oh, I think that this is how I'm going to get what I want. And then things don't feel right. And then it's like, I'm having this realization that that's not real, that that's not true. So you're making progress going through this process of realizing like what feels authentically like this to you versus what doesn't, what looks like something but doesn't feel like it because it isn't, what looks like a really good knockoff versus is not the real thing. Knockoff versus the real thing, and the difference in the feeling. Because the devil is like, oh, it'll be just the same, just do it this way and you'll get what you want. And then we're like tuning into it, and the more you become aware and the more you become tuned in and the more you become awake, the more you realize like, oh, this isn't the same, this isn't what I wanted. But we have to get through those like false things that tell us otherwise, where we're still out of touch with ourselves, where we're still not in a place of deeper truth with ourselves, where we're still convinced that something is other than it is. The devil is the illusion. And so if we're still buying into that, it's like, yeah, like close enough. But at the end of the day, when you go to bed at night, you feel that feeling. And so this feels like something that one is becoming aware of, one is waking up to, no longer going to be bound to this, but it's a process, and that's why we have Temperance here. This is a process. We are figuring this out, and this is what's being worked on, and this is what's being moved through. But yeah, this can be a spot, a particular thing that feels really difficult to release in any way. It can be something that you feel very bound by. Working through this, you're getting to a place where you're realizing this just, it's not gonna cut it. And it may have for a long time, but you're waking up now. And so these things are becoming apparent, and that doesn't mean that it's easy. Like, knowing the truth is not easy, especially when there's stuff that we have to do to get into alignment. You're just realizing something here that's not in alignment and hasn't been. But it also feels comforting too, because you're like, oh, that's why I've been feeling how I've been feeling. Because when you have the real deal, it will feel very different than this, and that can feel reassuring to know that like this isn't the best it can get. It really isn't. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.